Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this limited series, I'll be sharing 5 stories of mystery, the occult, and terror. The stories I'll tell are ones I've heard personally, and they've stayed with me for all my life. For reasons of privacy and storytelling, I've decided to change the names and rewrite the stories to present them to you in a more accurate and engaging way. So grab a cup of tea, subscribe to my channel, and let's make this October week even more spooky. That family. This story was told to me in a private message. It's the real experience of someone recounted in first person. It was 1996 in Albania. I was 5 years old and still lived in my hometown, in a neighborhood as small as it was forgotten by time. The apartment buildings were simple blocks of concrete, 4 communist-style buildings with 5 floors each, arranged to form a rectangle around a bare park without a tree, without a spot of shade. That park, which always seemed so desolate and gray, nevertheless became our little world every afternoon when we, the children, ran there to play. The day passed slowly, marked by few distractions. People knew each other very well, doors were always open, and secrets didn't exist. In summer, the neighborhood was filled with voices. The adults would sit on the benches in the park, talking until late at night, while the children played under the reddening sky. Everyone knew everything about everyone, except for one family. They lived on the 5th floor, the top of one of the buildings. A couple, their 2 small children, and the man's mother. There was something strange about them, like an invisible veil that separated them from the rest of the neighborhood. They were very polite, yes, but cold. If you passed them on the stairs, they always reply with a good morning or good evening, but without ever stopping. They seemed like passing figures, shadows in a world that wasn't theirs. Even the children never came down to play. I remember once seeing the boy, who must have been around 6, standing by the entrance of the building, alone, playing with a piece of modeling clay in his hands. I asked if he wanted to join us in playing. "No, thank you," he replied with a distant, almost mechanical voice. Then, without saying another word, he climbed the stairs, disappearing in the darkness of the building. Then, one day, the old mother died. In our neighborhood, when someone died, the entire community mobilized. Funerals were held at home. Neighbors brought food, chairs, and helped to clean. But this time, it was different. At the cemetery, it was just them. The husband, the wife, the 2 children, and 2 workers from the cemetery. No neighbors, no tears shed by strangers. The coffin was lowered into the ground in silence, under a gray sky that almost seemed to reflect their detachment. 4 months later, the unthinkable happened. The little girl, who wasn't even 4 years old, also died. No one ever knew exactly how. They talk about a high fever, but as usual, no one had actually seen or known anything. The funeral was identical to the grandmother's, quick, distant, and silent. After that death, the family became even more isolated. You didn't even see them in passing anymore. And then the winter came, and they disappeared completely. No one knew where they had gone. Their neighbors said that the mother had mentioned a possible move to Greece, and one day the same neighbor found a large lock on their door. The family had left in the dead of night. No one had seen them leave. No one had heard the sound of suitcases. They seemed to have vanished. But then spring arrived. The snow had melted, and the sun began to light up the little gray park again. We, children, had returned to play as if nothing had ever happened. That afternoon, we were chasing after a ball when something caught one of our friends' attention. He stopped suddenly. His face was pale, and he pointed upwards. We all turned to look. From the window of the 5th floor, behind the lace curtains, I saw a strange orange light flickering like the flame of a fire. We moved closer to get a better look. Was it the reflection of the sun? No, the light seemed to come from inside. The fire department arrived quickly. They climbed up and forced the door open, but when they entered, the light had disappeared. Not only were there no fire, but the house was completely empty. No furniture, no personal belongings. Only that white lace curtains, the same ones we had always seen. Those curtains seemed to be the only link between us and a family that now belonged only to memories and the whispers of the wind. The mystery enveloped everything. No one had ever seen the family move their furniture. Had the furniture magically disappeared? Or had the family have been living in an empty house with nothing inside from the beginning? Or perhaps they had never lived there at all? The story reopened. People started talking about that mysterious family again. But as always, time erases everything. I too moved to another city. However, I heard that the strange phenomenon happened 2 more times. Always the same, one orange light between those curtains, the firefighters arriving and finding only emptiness. Every time I return to my old town, to the old apartment where I grew up, I can't help but look up at that balcony. The curtains, now yellowed with age, continue to cover the balcony of that apartment, which remains empty till this day. What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon for another evening of mystery, the occult, and terror.